Greetings, my name is Carol and I'm 32 years old. For the past 6 years, I've dedicated myself to the role of a homemaker. My husband, Brian, is a doctor. We've shared a life together without children but have found happiness in our companionship. Yet, a recent turn of events has brought our decade-long marriage to an unexpected close. It all unfolded suddenly. One evening, Brian returned home later than usual and declared, "Carol, this is the end for us." His words left me puzzled and seeking clarification. The end? What are you talking about all of a sudden? I asked. Brian's response was shocking. I've decided to marry my mistress, so we're getting a divorce today. I couldn't grasp the reality of his words. Marry your mistress? What are you talking about? I questioned, but Brian was adamant. I've made up my mind. I'm leaving you and marrying her. Besides, our marriage wasn't based on love, so it shouldn't matter to you, right? Indeed, our marriage wasn't a love story from the start. Pressured by his parents to marry, Brian found in me a suitable match. Our acquaintance was brief before we tied the knot, sharing only a common surname as a quirky coincidence. This semblance of destiny, coupled with the societal rush towards marriage, led me to agree to the union. Despite the lack of a deep emotional foundation, we managed our marriage competently for 7 years. Yet, the idea of it ending so abruptly was unthinkable. As Brian revealed his affair with a nurse from his hospital, his words cut deeper. He described her as charming and caring, qualities he felt were absent in me. According to him, their connection was inevitable. His harsh judgment of our life together and the comparison he made between me, a homemaker, and his mistress, a nurse, was unbearable. He claimed that anyone would prefer her over me. After a moment of stunned silence, I found the strength to respond. Fine, let's get a divorce. The notion of continuing a life with someone capable of such cruelty was unimaginable. I proposed that we handle the details of our separation, including alimony and property division, through legal channels. This revelation marked the end of a chapter in my life, one that started without love and ended in a betrayal I never saw coming. I resolved to sign the divorce documents and forward them later, planning to return to my parents' home in the interim. However, Brian cut me off, insisting on a shocking revelation. There's no need for any discussions, not even for a divorce paper, he said. Confused, I protested. What do you mean? Without a divorce, you can't remarry. But Brian's reply was dismissive and cruel. You're so naive, it's pathetic. The truth is, I never filed our marriage registration. We've been nothing more than cohabitants, not a legally married couple. This means no divorce, no alimony, no division of property. You thought you'd get a share of my wealth in the divorce, but you won't receive anything. I was stunned. The day we were supposed to have our marriage registered, I couldn't accompany him due to an urgent commitment, trusting him to complete our union officially. But he revealed he never did. Not submitted? Are you joking? We've lived as a married couple for 7 years, I exclaimed, struggling to grasp the reality of his deception. Brian explained that from the outset, he devised this plan to avoid legally binding our relationship, fearing the complications of a marriage with someone he didn't love. Our arrangement was based on convenience. I managed the household while he took care of all external affairs, including those of a legal and official nature. Why would you do such a thing? I demanded, feeling betrayed. Brian's justification was cold and calculated. He never intended to marry out of love, but saw in me a convenient housekeeper while he pursued his demanding career. This arrangement, he argued, was mutually beneficial. I lived comfortably under his roof without needing to work, and he maintained his status as a successful doctor. Feeling used and devalued, I realized the depth of Brian's manipulation. He threatened to cut ties with my father's business, which had benefited from our supposed marital connection to Brian's hospital, should I disclose the truth to anyone. This left me facing not just the end of what I believed was my marriage, but also a potential fallout affecting my family's livelihood. The revelation shattered any illusions of partnership or shared life goals. I was forced to confront the harsh reality of our relationship. A decade of my life spent under the guise of a marriage that never legally existed, leaving me to rebuild my life from the ground up, without the support or security I had believed was mine. Brian taunted me, believing he had the upper hand, mocking my supposed naivety with a laugh. "It's your own fault for being so easily deceived. How pathetic to be cast aside with nothing," he jeered. But what he didn't realize was that the tables were about to turn dramatically in my favor. I couldn't contain my laughter at his ignorance. "What's so funny?" he asked, puzzled by my sudden amusement. "I can't believe you actually became a doctor with such a lack of understanding," I replied. "I've been aware of your affair and the fact you never filed our marriage registration." "That's impossible," he retorted, disbelief in his voice. But I had been preparing for this moment, biding my time until he would unknowingly expose himself. For the past 4 months, I had harbored suspicions about his fidelity. Without concrete proof, I enlisted the services of a private investigator to delve into his affair. The investigator brought me 3 crucial pieces of information. First, conclusive evidence of Brian's affair was presented, showing him and a nurse from his hospital entering a hotel together. Second, and perhaps more shockingly, was the revelation that we might not be legally married. According to overheard conversations between Brian and his mistress, they believed there was no need to worry about alimony or property division since our marriage had never been legally recognized. I was astonished. We had lived as a married couple for a decade, yet he had carefully kept me away from any official procedures. The possibility that our marriage registration was never submitted was a reality I had never considered. "This is unbelievable. How could he do this?" I thought to myself. Yet the investigator assured me, "This situation is rare but not unique, and you're not powerless here." "How can I possibly take action if we were never married to begin with?" I asked, feeling defeated. "That's where you're wrong," the investigator explained. "You can make him pay for his deceit. We'll prepare quietly, without tipping him off." As we strategized, Brian remained oblivious to the fact that his deception would soon catch up with him. He believed that without a legal marriage, he bore no responsibility for his actions or to the women he was involved with. "You thought I was pitiful for being in the dark, but it turns out you're the one to be pitied," I told him confidently. "You see, even though we weren't legally married, our long-term cohabitation is recognized as a common law relationship. This means I am entitled to alimony and a division of property, contrary to what you believed." Brian's shock was palpable. He had underestimated me, not realizing that even in the absence of a formal marriage, the law still provided protections for partners like me who had been misled and wronged. I was determined to assert my rights and ensure that justice was served, leveraging the common law status to hold him accountable for his actions and deceit. He hadn't realized that being recognized as in a de facto marriage could turn against him. It's lesser known, but you can indeed make claims if you're in a common law relationship given certain conditions. From what I see, you likely meet these requirements. The conditions for a common law relationship to be recognized are twofold. Firstly, there must be a mutual intention to be married, not just living together. This intent can seem subjective and challenging to prove. However, actions like holding a wedding ceremony or being recognized as a couple by family and friends can serve as proof. Since you've had a ceremony and are known as a couple among your close ones, you've met this requirement. The second requirement involves living together in a manner similar to a married couple, which includes sharing a life and household responsibilities for over 4 years. Given that you've been living together for a decade and have shared household finances, your relationship qualifies as marital. This means you're eligible to claim alimony and property division. Although I'm not a specialist in this area, I'll connect you with a lawyer who can guide you through the process of making these claims. After consulting with the lawyer I was referred to, it became clear that I could indeed claim alimony and property division from my partner. When I informed him, his previous arrogance vanished, replaced by shock, despite his claim that I, an unemployed woman, would have nowhere to turn after our separation. I reassured him of my preparedness. With a job lined up and a new place in sight, he underestimated me, thinking I'd be lost without him, but I was already stepping ahead. I also mentioned discussing our situation with his parents, which seemed to worry him further, especially regarding his family's business ties and the potential fallout from our split. Despite his sudden pleas for me not to call our parents, the decision to reveal the truth wasn't his to control. Our relationship's facade was crumbling, and it was time to face the consequences, regardless of his fears. Are you serious? From the very beginning, you could have stood up against the marriage if you were against it. To live selfishly within a marriage for a decade and now fear the discovery by your parents is baffling. Your story doesn't sit right with me, and I plan to inform both our parents about the situation. Consequently, I reached out to both families, and upon hearing my narrative, they were deeply shocked, leading to an urgent gathering at our home. During the meeting, it was revealed over the phone that for 7 years a facade of marriage was maintained without officially registering it. Accusations flew as the son confessed to his actions, blaming his parents for pressuring him into marriage without his consent. Despite their intentions for him to marry, his agreement was under duress, fearing backlash if he objected. He justified his actions by citing an example from the internet of someone in a similar predicament who chose not to register his marriage until he met his true love. This revelation was met with disdain, especially when he expressed his intent to marry his girlfriend for a real marriage. The conversation then shifted to the vows taken at the wedding, highlighting the promise to cherish and create a joyful home. The parents lamented the deception and the illusion of happiness that was promised to their daughter. The betrayal was not just personal, but extended to threats of severing business ties if the truth was revealed. This confrontation ended with a stark realization of the facade maintained for 7 years, challenging the essence of sincerity and commitment in relationships. The story underscores the consequences of decisions made under familial pressure and the profound impact of honesty and transparency in fostering genuine connections. The situation spiraled out of control because of your own decisions. You were the one who threatened to end our business relationship, leading to my husband's absolute dismay at this unexpected accusation. "Hold on, let's not rush things and try to have a calm discussion," he pleaded. But tension escalated quickly. My father-in-law, infuriated, confronted my husband directly for his deceitful behavior, highlighting the disappointment and betrayal felt due to his actions. "By choosing not to register our marriage, you may have thought you were doing yourself a favor, but in reality, Carol suffered because of your selfishness for an entire decade. What justified causing such distress to her and everyone involved?" The room fell into a heavy silence, with my husband at a loss for words in response to the severe reprimand. "My apologies for the chaos this have caused," my father-in-law expressed, indicating that the responsibility partly lay with them for not guiding him better. They decided to take him back to his childhood home to reflect on his actions and prevent further reckless decisions. "We are sincerely sorry for the turmoil," they said, escorting my husband away. "You've endured so much. Why not come home and rest for a while? You shouldn't have to worry about any of this right now," my parents suggested, noticing my fatigue and the deceit I had faced. Despite their genuine concern, I chose to stay in my home, feeling determined to settle matters with my now ex-husband. I began preparing for the legal proceedings, collecting evidence to establish our common law relationship and aiming for an equitable division of assets and alimony. 2 weeks later, during discussions about the settlement, my ex-husband balked at the notion of dividing his assets. "Why should I share my earnings and possessions? I've provided everything over the years while she stayed at home," he argued, struggling to come to terms with the concept of sharing his wealth. The lawyer explained patiently, "The earnings and possessions you've acquired during your time together are indeed subject to division. Consider who managed the household, prepared meals, and contributed to a supportive living environment while you worked. These contributions have significant economic and emotional value." Frustrated, my ex-husband failed to see the importance of the homemaker's role, to which the lawyer responded, "Your ability to work and live comfortably was directly supported by her efforts at home. Recognizing the value of household management is crucial. Your current situation stems from your decisions, and it's unfair to overlook the sacrifices made during your relationship." This encounter highlighted the complexities of navigating the end of a relationship, the importance of acknowledging both partners' contributions, and the need for fair resolution in the wake of separation. In the midst of the property division discussions, it was clarified that she rightfully deserved half of the assets, a standard procedure in such situations. Furthermore, the request for alimony was set at $250,000, a figure that stunned him due to the unconventional nature of their relationship. The high amount was justified by the lengthy period of pretense and the abrupt manner in which he attempted to dismiss her for someone new. This sum reflected not just the duration, but also the depth of his deceit. He was taken aback, unable to digest the reality that a decade, which he underestimated, was a significant chunk of time. Throughout these years, she had lived and contributed as if in a legally recognized marriage, making his protests void in the face of his actions. He had no ground to stand on and was compelled to accept the terms laid out to him. Adding another layer to this complex situation, a notice for alimony was also sent to his new partner, who was evidently unaware of the potential financial implications of their affair. The discovery of the claim left her bewildered, confronting him in a place where privacy was scarce, leading to an awkward and public dispute over the responsibility of the alimony payment. Their argument, filled with accusations and denials, inadvertently exposed their relationship to the entire hospital staff, turning their private affair into public gossip. This public debacle, coupled with my father's decision to end a professional contract with the hospital, only added to the scandal. When the hospital inquired if the termination was related to the affair, it was evident that the rumors had spread far and wide, making the affair not just a personal issue, but a professional liability as well. This sequence of events not only highlighted the consequences of deceit and infidelity, but also underscored the importance of transparency and accountability. The legal and personal fallout from his actions served as a stark reminder of the far-reaching impacts of one's choices, especially when those choices harm others. The revelation that a nurse was implicated in a dramatic episode caught everyone off guard. It was shocking to learn that for a decade, he had led everyone to believe he was married without ever making it official through marriage registration. This deception, once uncovered, sparked widespread disbelief and disapproval among the hospital staff. How could Dr. Bryan engage in such deceit, pretending to be married, and simultaneously have an affair with a nurse? They wondered. The gossip quickly spread, questioning how such a pretense could go unnoticed for so long, especially given the clever management of paperwork that kept Carol in the dark. As the scandal unfolded, both Dr. Bryan and the nurse faced the harsh judgment of their colleagues and patients alike, leading to their eventual resignation from the hospital. Amidst this turmoil, I pursued the alimony claim, securing payments from both my ex-husband and his mistress, despite her initial resistance and claims of being misled. Meanwhile, my father's intervention had brought to light the entire ordeal, though the potential cancellation of the contract with the hospital was averted when Dr. Bryan resigned. The hospital, valuing the long-standing trust with our company, requested the contract remain intact, a request my father honored. Following these events, I embarked on a fresh start, moving to a new place where I found happiness and remarried a coworker. This new chapter was interrupted when my ex-husband reached out, inquiring about my remarriage, an action that betrayed his continued interest or perhaps bitterness towards my life. I confirmed my new marital status, dismissing his insinuations of betrayal by reminding him of the non-existence of our legal marriage. His attempt to taunt me, suggesting I hadn't changed, fell flat as I assured him of my happiness and the secure, honest relationship I now enjoyed with my husband, who was fully aware of my past and supportive. His call, likely a reflection of his own dissatisfaction, ended with no satisfaction on his part. Whether he finds contentment in his life remains uncertain, but it's clear that without a change in his self-serving behavior, genuine happiness may continue to elude him. My focus, however, remains on the joy and stability I've found in my new life, undeterred by the shadows of the past.